course, the market hasn't been great. And when the market isn't great, you have to adjust your strategy. So I think we may have been a little bit too aggressive and too heavy with our bets the last run. So right now we're focusing on two things. One is supporting our portfolio companies, and secondly being more diligent with our due diligence when it comes to new investments. We've done 4 or 5 investments this year, so we're not deploying. We are deploying, but more carefully. And I think one thing we've learned is to do even further DD on the team and further figuring out, how the projections are that founders are preparing for their projects. How much are they willing to spend every month? What the runway looks like, and basically really figuring out that they're careful with whatever money they raise. So we're doing, I think, a better job this year than we did the last few years in terms of really picking top projects. And I do think we have a dozen strong portfolio companies that we really believe in and we think will be, bringing further users and further adoption into the space. We actually deployed a lot in gaming last year, and I would say half a dozen of those projects we're still considerably bullish on. These are all projects that raise a lot of money. Like building a game requires a lot of funding. So I think that the projects that were able to raise enough funding and have enough of a strong team to build strong games are the ones we feel are going to be able to make it. But this year the games we invested in were more indie games, so more simple games that require less funding and just are quicker to test, iterate, and see whether they can get traction. So that's something I think we've been pretty excited about. Then we've done a cool investment in AI, so that was as a follow-up investment. We've seeded this project 1.5 years ago, a project called Tada, working on also data crawling and crowdsourcing of data that can then be sold to AI companies. So something pretty exciting that we are, followed on as investors this year. And then the third investment was actually an NFT project. So we're being very careful with NFTs, but this one team has convinced us. DeFi is, of course, super important for any ecosystem, and we have one DeFi project that is coming to the market this year that we've invested in 2 years back. So that's one project we're helping with, actively, but not funding-wise, just like time-wise. So DeFi is definitely on our horizon, but it's not necessarily our particular, top focus, and also not the type of, let's say, vertical that we are primarily focused on. We're very much focused on verticals where we can bring user traction, and our background in Web 2 helps us bring users to the protocols and all sorts of projects that have a very strong retail focus. Crypto is all about narratives, and some things come and some things go and some things stay. So we're pretty open in general. We don't like to set ourselves too many boundaries. So we do actually look at everything, especially when deal flow comes from warm introductions. However, AI is definitely something that we are excited about, more from an education and learning perspective. We feel like there's so much to learn about the AI industry that makes us excited, especially because we believe that AI and blockchain eventually are going to be interacting. And in fact, that's actually an example, thinking of a future where AIs will interact with each other and will have to pay themselves automatically in some kind of fashion, and I think crypto will be the answer. So we do believe this trend is coming, but it will take a few years down the line. For now, we're just focused on kind of educating ourselves about the field and about the synergy between blockchain and AI. Trying to raise currently, I think, it's all about networks. So it's all about being, picky about who you approach, being smart about the people that you want to reach out to and ask for advice. So the best way to fundraise is to actually ask people for advice. So if you ask people for money, they will give you advice. If you ask people for advice, they will give you money. That's like a rule that works, pretty obviously in Web 2. So my suggestion to founders would be to go out and ask for lots of advice. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. So go to people who are strategic investors or who could be strategic investors. Ask them just for what their opinion is. And one day they'll give you feedback, and if they like your idea, they will tell you they want to invest anyways. So try to be indirectly proactive. I think that's one way to go about it. And then build your network for warm introductions. Best investments only come from people who already vouch for you, so founders should try to get warm introductions.